Crank up the volume and get ready for real-world bird hunting by listening to the Wingmen podcast by Eastman's. Now your host, Todd Helms.
Hey guys, today's episode of the Wingmen podcast is brought to you by Savage. That's right, Savage Firearms. I personally am stoked to be partnering with Savage and shooting their new Renegade. I had the opportunity last year to put the Renegade through the paces on a Montana turkey hunt and performed flawlessly. Obviously, a turkey hunt is not a waterfowl hunt where I'm burning up lots and lots and lots of ammo, but I've had a chance to put that same Renegade through the paces shooting skeet, sporting clays, and trap this summer, and it has not failed me once. I specifically have not cleaned it. I want to see how much dirt, grit, grime, and punishment that Renegade can take before it malfunctions, and I haven't found the limit yet. I've been super impressed with the fit and feel of the Renegade. This thing's just tough. It's tough as nails, and if I'm looking for a waterfowl-specific shotgun, I'm looking for something that I can use as a canoe paddle if I need to, and the Renegade is going to do that and still go bang at the end of the day. You know, there's been lots said over the years about shotguns, but for me, I need a gun that shoots where I point it, that goes bang every single time, and that throws good, even, consistent patterns. And the Renegade has all three. Plus, I can customize the fit with the stock, and that is huge. Because if you don't have a shotgun that fits you, you're probably not going to hit very much. And that's a problem. Shotgunning's an art, rifle shooting's a science. Savage has kind of blended the two with the Renegade and brought all kinds of crazy features to bear with the new Renegade. Go online, check it out at savage.com, but more importantly, get your hands on one. See how they feel. Check it out for yourself. I have been super impressed so far, and I'm looking forward to putting that Savage Renegade to work over the course of the next season. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Wingmen podcast, and we're on episode, I believe, 64, maybe 65 now. And as you can see, I'm not in my normal recording location. I'm in Crete, Alberta, with Wingmaster Outfitting, and we have been pounding the geese the last several days. And on my left is Curt Friesen, and on my right is Rod Friesen. These guys have been my guides, for lack of a better term. We have been hammering birds, and we've obviously been having a ton of fun. So, guys, tell me how you got into this, because you're young. You're 20.
Yeah.
And you're?
22.
22. So they're kids. They're children. I've been wrangling children. No, we've had a lot of fun. But it's interesting to me, you got a lot of hunting under your belts for being young, I would say. But you guys know this area. You grew up here, right?
Yeah.
So how did you get into this?
Well, for me, it was just being fortunate enough to, our older brothers, they took us out hunting when we were just little kids, basically. And I don't know, goose hunting kind of always stuck with me. It was something I always had a passion for. And as I grew older, started to try it ourselves, and when I got to be legal age, like, so we could actually carry shotguns and stuff, we went out and we did a lot of DIY hunts, and a lot of failures, but we learned a lot of stuff, and eventually our hunts got better. And I always wanted to do something where I could do it for, like, actually do it like as a guide, like work for Kyler or something. And I remember one day Henry Friesen, actually, he texted me and asked if I'd be interested in it, because Kyler hadn't been doing it for a while, the goose part of, or the waterfowl part of his hunting. And one day he texted me and he asked if I'd be interested in it, and I told him I would. And he said it wasn't for sure, but a few days later, Kyler contacted me and asked if I'd be interested in taking people goose hunting. And I guess from there, it was just, I was kind of nervous because it was just, the stuff I knew, we taught it to ourselves. Basically, it was kind of self-taught, so I was pretty nervous that it'd be a failure, but so far it's worked out pretty good.
Oh, you guys are great, and you live in an absolute goose hunting mecca. Yeah. This is the Peace River, and I've been hearing about Peace River, Alberta since I was younger than you guys are now. Yeah. And it's world famous. This is where you come if you want to shoot geese. This is where you come, yeah. And the numbers have borne that out. So just through experience, you just ran with it, and I mean, you're dialed. Your stuff is dialed.
The specs are getting the best of us some days. But
specs do that, man. Every day, these big groups of specs get up, and we're all like, "Oh, great, more specs," because they're pain.
And it seems like we're getting more and more of them, and they're getting wiser. But we're just gonna learn, I guess.
And you were saying that. You guys were telling me kind of some of the history of this. When you were younger, you said you had more geese than you do now even.
We had tons of geese.
That's hard to imagine because there are tens of thousands of geese here right now.
When we grew up, if you had a pea field, it wasn't, are there going to be geese? It was, how many geese are there going to be, and can we hunt this? Like, it was loads and loads. You'd see every pea field just tornadoes of geese. And we had more Canadas then. So I remember my older brother, and he kind of lit the spark, and me and Rod, I think. And he'd come home with him and like 12 buddies. They'd come home with like over 100 birds, like 120 birds.
Wow.
And they would dig pit blinds, and they'd hunt that field like all year. And they just
one
back.
Field.
Oh yeah, they could do it morning after morning. It was just they'd limit out in a few minutes basically, and just do it the next day again.
Wow, we've had some stellar hunts.
Yeah.
Yesterday was, holy smokes. We shot, we killed 66 birds, and it wasn't even our limit. We stopped short. It was getting later in the day, and the birds were kind of quit flying. We ran out of ammo. They're like, I'm going to run back to the truck and get some more ammo. Well, there's nothing left in that truck. We shot so bad yesterday.
Well, we started out good. And it just got worse.
And it was, you guys, I looked at Rod earlier, later on in the morning, and I was just like, dude, awesome scout. Because it was incredible. Just so many birds. And we had ducks yesterday. And it was just like I don't think there was more than a 5-minute window all morning long where we didn't have birds working the decoys.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
You'd wear a dog out. Like they wouldn't be able to keep up with it.
Yeah.
It'd be chaos.
That's our next thing, a dog.
There's some, that definitely adds to it. There's a lot that goes into that, but we can talk about that more later. But so when does your season start here?
September 1st.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you guys had clients start?
Yeah. September 1st we had clients.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long do you run hunts?
Well, I've booked them in till end of September. We're full.
Okay.
And there's still guys calling me, but I've told them I'll wait, see how long the birds hold on. I told them maybe we'll shoot some green mallards in October, and then I'll let you know. But after September is usually some snow geese, some specks, and mallards.
The lesser Canadians, you'll usually get a break towards the end of September where you're like, oh, looks like it's done now, and then all of a sudden, first week, second week in October, every once in a while you'll get a nice group of lesser Canadians that'll stop in,
like the little cackling geese.
Yeah, and you can hunt them pretty good sometimes. Some years, I know last year we had October 14th. We had a limit on geese, and it was mostly those lesser Canadian geese. But it's not like that every year. So
right. Well, it's wild. So this hunt that we're on is, like I said, it's through Wingmaster Outfitting, and it is the most unique waterfowl hunt I've ever been on because we hunt geese in the mornings, and we're done by, the first morning we were done by what, 7:30?
Yeah, we were in the restaurant at 8 or something.
8 o'clock we're eating breakfast.
Yeah.
You know, and we've killed, I don't know how many, 40 geese or something like that that morning. It was like lights out. And we've had to work for them a little bit more since that first day. But there hasn't been a day when we haven't been out of the field by 10:30 or 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then we're back eating lunch, come back to this cabin and either chill or take a nap because you're up early.
Yeah.
And then we go bear hunting in the afternoons about 4 or 5 o'clock. We've gone out with Norman and Bob, and I'm going to sit down with Kyler Knelson and Norman, and we're going to talk about more about the outfitting side of thing and a little bit more of the big game side of thing. But this is a super unique hunt. You don't hear about. I remember when I was getting ready to come up here, I was telling people, like, "Oh, you're going to Canada? That's cool." I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty cool, but well, what are you going to do?" "Well, I'm hunting geese and bears," and they kind of go, "Geese and what?"
Yeah, it's a pretty unique combination.
It's a super unique combination, and the bear hunting has been as good as the goose hunting.
Yeah.
Lights out.
Yeah. Well, it works so well around here because you got those oat fields. The bears just crowd on them in the evening, and then in the morning you're hitting the geese hard.
Right. Yeah, it's absolutely perfect. And you know, right now we're staring at a moratorium on taking birds back with us. We can't take any birds back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The U.S. just said, nope, no birds coming out of Canada because of the avian flu. And so we're kind of scratching our heads going, what are we going to do with these birds? And you guys have lined up all these folks that want birds.
Yeah.
And so none of these birds are going to waste.
Oh, no.
People are eating them. And it was crazy this morning. We finished up, and these two dudes come driving out in the field in the pickup, like, "Morning, fellas," and we're just talking like we know each other. And, you know, everybody here is so friendly. It's crazy. And these guys just they helped us pick up decoys.
Yeah.
Loaded up the trailer, and they grabbed their geese. "Well, see you later," and they take off with the geese and a couple of ducks, and it's incredible. You were telling me that we're cleaning birds that first day, and I'm thinking, oh, you get these froze down and packed up, and we'll take them home. Mm-hmm. Nope. I think it was that day they made the announcement, and I was kind of like, well, so much for that.
Yeah, and we shot a few mounters.
Oh man, some of the speckle bellies that we killed this week were as good as you see in like Kansas or Oklahoma or Missouri or Arkansas late, like December and January. These things are barred up, perfect colors.
Yeah.
Easily could have taken some home. And I told my wife that. I said, I was visiting with her on the phone like last night, and I said, oh, it is such a shame that this thing that we can't bring birds home, because I said we've killed some specks that would look really good hanging from the ceiling in the corner of a room.
Yeah.
Oh. So what else do you guys do other than guide? Because your waterfowl season is only until, you're probably done mid-October for the most part. What do you do, Curt?
I'm in the logging industry in the winter.
Okay.
And in the summertime, me and my brothers, two of my older brothers and one younger brother, we run a family business. My older brothers run it, and me and my younger brother work for them. It's directional drilling.
You were telling us a little bit about that, the directional drilling, and like hitting gas lines and water lines, and I make that sound like you're not good at what you do, but that's not the case. But you were just telling stories about how you can turn the bit in different directions.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So
you have to see it to
really understand it. Yeah, I can imagine. But what about you, Rod?
Yeah, for me, it's I work for a logging company, and I'm a truck mechanic for them.
Okay.
So I work on trucks. I keep their trucks on the road, and in November, every chance I get, I'm in the deer blind. So
the hunting you guys have up here is incredible. It's not just geese. It's not just ducks. It's not just bears. There's elk. We saw elk last night.
Yeah.
whitetail.
Of course, everybody knows about Canadian whitetails. I mean, it's like, duh.
Yeah.
But some of the pictures you guys have shown us from the deer, just incredible.
Yeah.
Just incredible. And then you got moose hunting, obviously. And these are all hunts that are available through Wingmaster Outfitting.
Mm-hmm.
Kyler Knelson.
yeah, it is. This place is an absolute mecca. You know, I've been fortunate enough to hunt in a lot of different places, and Brandon Mason, who's with me on this hunt, and I were talking, and he said, not only do I just not want to go home, I feel like I could live here. Like this place just feels like, man, I don't really want to leave, other than not seeing my family for a week for I don't know how many days.
Yeah.
But it's incredible, and a large part of that is you guys. We have laughed so hard it's one thing after another. And we got Brandon's son, Hunter, running the camera, who is,
Oh man.
he's a dad joke aficionado. And it's like,
He is something else.
well, he said the same thing about you. But it's been like laugh after laugh after laugh. It's like the back of my head behind my ears just hurts by the time the hunt's over, because I'm just dying.
If we're not stacking them up, we're laughing.
No, and that's the cool thing is, if you come up here and you do this hunt, if you have a crappy time, it's your fault, not the guides, because these guys are going to make it enjoyable. They're going to make it fun. They're going to make sure all your needs are met. Curt whips out of the truck yesterday morning. He's like, "You boys want some sandwiches?" We took a bite, and I don't know which one was like. Did he poison these things? What would you put
Cayenne
on them?
pepper, and I dumped a lot. The holes in the shaker were bigger than I thought. So I just yeah.
It was good. And you're like, "Curt, why'd you feed them?" They're gonna be in the bush crapping all morning.
Well, it worked out.
Oh, it worked great. It's just been a riot. I mean, just the camaraderie and the laughter have been one thing after another. But it's been interesting too, because some of the stuff that you guys get to experience up here, we don't get to do in the States. Especially, we get the same geese that you guys are shooting up here this time of year. We'll start seeing them in November. They'll start showing up in Montana and a little bit in Wyoming, and then they winter over. A lot of them winter over along those river valleys in Montana and Wyoming, and even down into Colorado. And then they turn around and they come back up here in the spring. And to be able to see both ends of that migration,
Yeah.
it's been incredible. Like last winter, I was in Oklahoma shooting specs in Little Canadas, and this is where it starts.
Yeah.
And I was all the way down there. It's absolutely unbelievable. But the funny thing is, your duck limit. Explain your duck limit to me.
It's 8 ducks. As long as it's a duck, it's considered one. Like, it's not drakes, it's not hens.
Right.
If it's a duck, it's in your duck limit.
So guys that come up here, do you ever get guys that are like, "Well, where's the drakes?" You ever get guys
Yeah, and we have to tell them that that's later in the season that they actually.
Early season, we just shoot brown ducks.
Yeah.
They all look the same. Well, you can tell the body size. You can tell what it is, but they're all brown.
Yeah, there's ways you could tell, like a Drake mallard's got a green bill, and we shot a Drake pintail yesterday that was actually starting to get some color to it, and so you can tell. But in flying around, if you know your ducks, what they look like in the air, their flight characteristics, and be like, "Oh, these are pintails," or "Oh," and we shot a pile of pintails yesterday.
Yeah,
a pile of them. So you get guys that are disappointed, or maybe. I shouldn't say disappointed, but wondering. But the point is, if you're coming up here thinking you're going to shoot trophy mounted ducks,
no,
that's not what it's about.
No,
you'll shoot big Canadas and barred up specs, but no ducks.
Right.
And you're gonna good chance you'll shoot a lot of ducks, but they won't be colored.
Well, that's the thing is we killed 26 ducks yesterday morning.
28.
Okay, 28. See, I can't count. You can count. But we were covered up in ducks all morning long.
Yeah.
If we'd have shot better,
yeah.
we'd have had a lot. We'd have had a lot
half the
more
time
ducks.
we were waiting for the geese, so
Yeah.
we were skipping on ducks. Because
Right. And we had ducks buzzing us that we didn't
Oh,
even
yeah.
shoot at.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy. So if you're thinking about coming up here, which I would obviously highly recommend, just come with that expectation. You get 8 ducks.
Yeah.
Ducks
Yeah.
are ducks.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, we're out there. Excuse me. Yesterday morning was probably the most birds that we've seen
Yeah.
on a hunt. But man, I needed my little pulled sunglasses
Yeah.
so bad on that
Oh, yeah.
hunt. If I wouldn't have had those yesterday morning, I don't know if I'd have been able to see, because we were set up. We had to be set up because of the brush row and the fence. It was the power line, right?
Power line, yeah.
Because all those things, and the wind was just right. Because we thought about crosswinding them,
Yeah.
but they needed to be able to make that swing, and the power line was preventing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we set up looking into the sun, thinking, well, we got quite a bit of time. And then it was foggy. You guys get a lot of those conditions where you're limited by fog, or you have mornings like that?
This year has actually been pretty good. I remember years where every single morning you struggled with fog, but for the most part, once the sun comes up, it'll clear off, and
Right.
and usually you'll end up having a good hunt. But
We struggle with fog, and it can help you out a ton if you have fog.
How so?
Seems like some of those geese, they punch through the fog. They see the decoys, they just drop on in. They don't bother looking at your blinds if it's foggy.
Interesting.
It can help you out, but you need to yak on the calls pretty good.
Yeah, and get their attention.
Yeah.
I know we had a couple of groups just like all of a sudden they were just in front of the blind. Like all of a
Yeah.
sudden they are right there. And we were scrambling to grab shotguns and kill them. Oh man. We had a bird yesterday do something that I've never had before. Which one of you shot that bird? It wasn't me.
I think I
The
got
power
it, yeah.
line, the lineman,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
Rod crushed a bird, and it's just still flapping down, and it came, and we were set up right in front of a power line, and he just smoked that power line, and his whole neck was skinned off.
It was like he wrapped around
Yeah.
it
Oh, yeah.
and flung off, and the power line's going up and down. And of course, we're hooting and hollering and laughing.
And you were like, Hunter, did you get that?
Yeah.
Get what?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it has been one thing after another like that. And it is crazy, but we had a duck that sailed, and you were running back to the truck to get shells. And I'm watching this duck, and all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, it's going to go right over Curt. And I'm thinking you're going to shoot it.
I didn't have a gun.
Didn't have a gun. You hucked a box of shells at it.
I almost hit it too.
This thing, all of a sudden I see Curt, and he's like, woof, throws this box of ammo, it comes down, and you see shells go all over the field. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. But it has been one thing after another like that, where just joking and laughing and just having more fun than I've ever had on a hunt. And you guys are a huge, huge part of that. It's just, yeah, it's impossible to describe it. You have to see it, because you guys telling me, oh, we don't have the birds like we used to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going, what? You don't have birds like you used to have? This is incredible. You're scouting. Did you scout last night?
Yeah.
You did. Did you
See,
you
what
guys scout
happened-
together?
We usually go separate spots.
Separate spots.
Check out different areas.
It's
but
big country, so
Mm-hmm.
if you want an evening scout, you've only got 2 hours.
Right.
So, but what happened yesterday is we had this field, and you saw the field. It was piled full.
Yeah, we drove by to
And-
go bear hunting, and there
And
was
I drove
hundreds of
past
birds in
at
there.
8 o'clock, and they were all gone.
Really?
Yeah.
They just, and those the specklebellies will do it. They'll just switch fields, it seems. But there were still Canadas on it, and I found a couple other fields loaded with specks, but the guy, the owner of that field, him and his daughters wanted to go hunting yet.
Okay.
His daughters were in college, so didn't want to step on his toes. So.
Right.
But
We didn't hear a lot of shooting this morning.
no, and
It's Saturday morning.
And there was guys close by. There
Were
was
there?
guys a few fields over. They were hunting too, and yeah, it was a bit of a slower morning. But
So everybody was kind of in the same boat this morning.
yeah, and
Well-
I'm wondering what you said is true about the feeding overnight thing, and the full moon.
Because we got a full moon.
Yeah.
We got a full, and it's a big full moon.
Yeah.
I mean, like sleeping in the cabin, of course, we're exhausted, so sleeping's not a problem. But if you were not tired, not exhausted, worn out, that much light coming through the windows might be hard to even sleep.
No.
And so, super clear night last night, not a cloud in the sky, moon super bright. It wouldn't surprise me if those birds hopped around and fed all night long.
Yeah.
well, this morning, my brother Kevin went on a hunt. I guess he's getting up there too. He's just 18 and he's hunting pretty hardcore. He's got all me and Rod's old decoys and blinds and stuff. He's using it now.
That's awesome. How many brothers and siblings do you guys have?
Well, it's 11 total.
11 with everybody. Yeah, 7 brothers or 7 boys, 4 girls.
That is awesome. So is your younger brother the youngest then?
No,
This
there's
kid?
one younger.
There's one
another
younger.
He's 14.
And yeah, he always goes with my other brother.
Yeah, they're
the next duo.
The Friesen clan up there smoking geese in Alberta. And that's cool. So you guys hunt together as a family? Because you said something yesterday. You said it, Rod. And you were like, "Hey, can we get a picture of the two of us together?"
Mm-hmm.
Because he said we don't have any pictures where it's just us.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, of course. Let's get some pictures." So we got some pictures with you guys. But as a family, do you guys hunt together?
Actually, this September 2nd, me and Rod told all of my brothers and brother-in-laws because, well, we're the younger ones of the batch, so all of my older siblings are married as well. So all of my brothers and brother-in-laws came. And there was 11 guys in the blind and then six kids,
6 nephews. Yeah.
6 of my nephews, and then we
had a
hunted.
bowl.
How many panels did you have out?
4.
Or
Wow. You sitting on each other's laps in there
Just
or
a
what?
big windrow.
yeah,
That's awesome.
We ended up shooting 30 geese, I think.
Oh, so
And
you
we're-
backed up to a windrow.
No,
No, we actually didn't.
So you
it looked like we made a win.
We made him. Yeah, we built a windrow. Yeah.
Okay, I got it. I got
made
it. And it worked.
It worked.
It
Well,
did.
we weren't out there for too long. My older brothers, they don't have as much time for hunting as we do.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to go back to work, get combining, it's harvest season.
Yep.
So we stayed out on the field only till 8ish, but we got 30 birds and we had a good time.
30 birds like that.
Yeah.
I'm betting. So you said that you've had some other folks come up. Where I grew up hunting I've told you, I've been saying this all week because it just blows my mind how similar it is, and you're probably sick of hearing it, but very similar birds. We always got first crack at them where we were coming out of Hudson Bay, and then you guys are getting first crack at these birds. The methods that you guys are using up here very closely mimic what we did too, but and you hunt very similarly than what we would in Wyoming later in the year. You can get away with stuff up here that we can't,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
like parking trucks
Yeah.
pretty close,
Couple hundred yards.
couple hundred yards away.
Yeah.
No big deal. Birds don't pay any attention to them at all, and we're like, if we park that close, we gotta hide them. They've got to be hidden inside, like up next to equipment or something like that, because there's no way. You had a crew here from.
He did. I wasn't guiding
You
them.
did. You told me earlier in the week you had a crew.
Dry foot.
Dryfoot Outfitters, yeah. Mike Pline with Toxic Culls.
Okay.
Was down here, and with the Dryfoot Outfitters crew, they were down here. We actually, I think we only had 2 hunts with them because they were kind of hunting as they were coming down.
Okay.
And then they did a few hunts here just to kind of get a feel. I think they had plans on coming here years after, and then COVID broke out and everything, so they haven't been down again. But I'm not sure if they'll be back. But no, they were kind of hunting their way down and then kind of just hunting their way back up. So
Okay.
yeah.
And you guys got into them. But one of the things that you said was they were surprised.
Oh yeah.
Tell me.
Oh, they couldn't believe it when I pulled out those panel blinds. They were like, this is all you guys use? Like, this works? Like, yeah, that's what we've been using the whole season. And they just went out to the windrow and started cutting a bunch of brush, and they just piled it onto the blinds. And that kind of got me a little snapshot of what you guys have to deal with over there, that we're kind of educating all these geese for you, and then we're sending them that way.
Yeah, from now on, when I clean a bird and it's got somebody else's steel shot in it, I'm going to go, Curt.
Yeah, it's Curt. It's not me.
Rod always kills him.
Headshots only.
The duck. You saw the duck. You did.
Yeah, you.
Platypus.
Platypus. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, you pulled the panels out the first day, and I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. We got in them, sat down, and I think the first group that came in was like 8 birds, and we killed 7 of them, and they were right in our face. It wasn't like they made a big swing and then kind of side slipped us. They were right in the kill hole, right in front of the blind. And I was like, all right, I like this. And we haven't had every group do that, obviously, because it's hunting.
Yeah.
But most of the birds finish tight.
And me and Rod grew up hunting coffin blinds.
Yeah.
And
that was actually my main concern going into guiding when I was doing it myself, and then I was asked to go guiding. I was only used to using the coffin blinds, and because I always thought the panel blinds didn't work, and I thought they were kind of for old people.
For old people.
But Kyler told me, like, all these guys that come up here, they don't want to. The coffin blinds, they're not comfortable, like, for like older people.
Yeah.
So if you can sit in a panel blind and just enjoy the view, it's way better. And after a while, we realized that this stuff actually works, and now I wouldn't go back, like, never.
Well, we realized no one around here was hunting panels. No one. Like, when we were 14, 13, no one was hunting with panels. It was all layout blinds.
Right.
And when we started hunting panels, actually, we had birds land in the blinds because they weren't used to hunting panel. Like,
they were landing in the
They were constantly watching for these coffin blinds. They were like, we were having trouble with the coffin blinds because they were spotting us, and we were like, okay, we're down low, we're trying to hide, and
right.
That's why I originally thought, well, the panel blinds they're not going to work because we're barely getting away with the coffin blinds. But now I don't know, they just don't watch for that. They just assume it's a bush in the middle of the field, I guess.
Yeah, and I know, because we use them too, and if we can, we butt them up against stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be, a tall patch of grass, or
yeah,
we try to make it look as natural as possible. But we did a hunt last year where there was just a corn stubble field, and we literally just stubbled up the panels. Well, we were using A-frames, but stubbled up A-frame blinds, and away we went, and we smoked them.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like, man, is this really going to work? I know Jim Sobier from Sitka, when we hunted with him quite early on, several years ago, and he was actually one of the first guests on the podcast. He was talking about hunting in A-frames, and I was like because we were still hunting in layouts, and he's like, yeah, I won't repeat what he called it. It was hilarious. But he's like, yeah, you feel like you're sticking out.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way this is going to work.
Yeah.
But it does.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like I think part of it is they think it's probably like a bush. The other part is I think there's honestly times when I think they have a hard time picking out a well-hidden panel.
Yeah.
Or a well-hidden A-frame. Because it's like a depth perception thing.
Especially if you can color match or put it up against a windrow, like if you're a couple hundred yards from the windrow and you can kind of put it up, if they're coming from the other side, they have a hard time seeing. Like, yeah, they can see something, but they have a hard time seeing if it's just part of the windrow or what it is.
That makes sense because they're looking, because a lot of the birds we shot came in low.
Yeah.
They weren't flying way up in the stratosphere and then spiraling down to us.
No.
They're 50, 60 yards up, and they're just coming in nice and low. It would have been just over treetop level. You see them a lot of times when they leave the field, they'd have to climb to get over the trees to get back into whatever slough they were going into. And so, yeah, that makes sense, Rod, that they would be looking, flying in and looking, and they can't pick it out because it's against that backdrop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it feels like you're just out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, I know.
Stuck out there.
Yeah.
This didn't prove out yesterday because we shot like idiots, but you shoot better standing up too.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. I used to be when we were hunting panels, when we were hunting laydowns. When I switched to panels, I had trouble hitting geese
Really?
because I would skeet shoot from a layout blind.
Yep, we used to do the same thing.
And we would hunt. So you were used to, and shooting from a layout's different. You shoot under or whatever. You have to shoot different. And the first time I hunted a panel, I couldn't hit.
No kidding.
And they were right in our face. I couldn't hit. But you have to get used to it. But if you're used to shooting skeets standing up, you're definitely going to be a better shot in a panel blind.
Yeah. And I think you probably get some older folks, fellas come up and hunt, and they like to shoot standing up.
Yeah, exactly.
I know for, obviously yesterday we put, I don't know how many rounds through the Savage Renegade in the last week, but it's been a lot just burning through the Federal. But it just seems like it's more natural. I could pick that Renegade up, and you guys yell, "Take them!" I could just grab that Renegade and I stand up, and I'm just swinging the gun.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I noticed, we had wind switches.
Yeah, big time.
And you don't have to move.
Exactly.
You're not, if you're in a layout blind, you got to pull all your stuff out and turn it around and move. We set up decoy spread that was kind of universal.
Mm-hmm.
If they came in behind us, you guys would just be like, "Shoot them out the back."
Yeah, turn around and just.
And we did that a bunch.
Yeah.
The day we hunted with the landowner's son.
Yeah.
Those birds were all.
They were just doing whatever.
Yeah, they did whatever.
It was hard.
Yeah.
Do you see that fairly regularly, or are you used to just like birds right in your face all the time?
Later in the season, we see that more.
Do you?
Yeah, and it depends on the weather, I guess, the wind. If we have a.
And there's seasons where I remember you hardly had a wind ever in the morning, and then an hour in it'd pick up, and then you'd have to end up switching, especially with the laydowns.
Mm-hmm.
You'd end up having to switch all sorts of stuff, but that's one of the things I really like about the panel blinds. You just shoot from wherever, like even if one side can take them or the other side, and at least we're getting birds.
Right. Yeah, there were several times where you were like, "Man, if you guys can kill those, just shoot."
Yeah.
Because birds don't always center you up perfect. It's the real world. Not every flock does it exactly right. Your panel blinds were interesting too. Did you guys make those?
Kyler did.
Yeah.
You made those.
No, Kyler.
Oh, Kyler made them.
I built some of my own last year too, and my younger brothers, they're using them, but they're very similar. Yeah.
And what are they made out of?
Aluminum
You
tubing.
kind of describe them to me,
It's
because
just aluminum tubing. I think they're 10 feet long.
I think so.
And then the front's about 4 feet high, and then the back side's higher.
okay.
And then we've got hog panel pretty much in him, welded into him, and then we just weave willows through him.
And you have
And
some
then-
burlap zip tied
Yeah,
to it
we
too.
zip tie
Burlap on the
burlap
inside.
on the inside, and then
Okay.
we weave willows through it, and that's a one season.
So you really
thing
don't have
usually.
probably a ton of money wrapped up into making those.
No,
No, it isn't that expensive.
If you've
No,
got the
it's
resources and the know-how.
it's the tubing. That's the most
Yeah, because
expensive.
hog
and-
panels cheap.
Yeah.
Burlap's cheap. That's cool. That's a good DIY thing for anybody that's listening. Obviously there's a ton of blinds on the market.
Yeah.
There's a ton of A-frames out there, and panels and all, and they're all great. But if you've got the know-how and you want to maybe have a summer project, I think that'd be cool. You guys I told you about the A-frame trailer
Yes.
that my friend Noah Miller uses with Western waterfowlers.
Mm-hmm.
And the looks on your faces. Are you guys gonna build one?
We should.
I think it'd be a good idea.
It would be the way you guys hunt. That blind it'd be a game changer.
Yeah.
You throw all your decoys in it. You throw all your stuff in it. And you just go down the road. If it needs more grass, you put more grass on it.
Yeah.
It is incredible. And that one's got like LED light strips in it. So early in the morning when you got guys sitting in there, you just flip on the light strip, and they can see what they're doing.
Yeah.
It has two 20-pound propane, or two, actually I think they're 40-pound. So it's like 80 pounds of propane mounted on the tongue, right against that front of that blind, and he's got propane lines running all across the front of the blind, and so then he just screws in the little buddy, the sunflower style heaters, and they got heat.
Nice.
Because I would imagine yesterday, I would bet you get some guys that they'd want a heater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little chilly out, yeah.
Because it was what? It was 1?
It was minus, well, in Celsius, it was -1 because, well, the decoys were frosted up a bit.
Right. They were
So
free.
we
They
were
had
hitting
frost
the
on them.
negatives.
Yeah, because we pulled up, and
The 30-degree thing.
Brandon said to Curt, he's like, yeah, it's like 30 degrees outside. And you looked at it, what did you say?
I said, you might as well be speaking French to me.
We're in Western Canada. You guys don't speak French.
No.
Exactly. Oh, man. But that has been just a kind of an example of just how the week has gone. You just get up, meet you guys, and we've had some late nights. Oh, my gosh. Some just ridiculous late nights, but I'll get back to that in a minute. Do you see any DIY guys, like guys from the States, come up here? It's a long ways.
Yeah.
We were 20 hours in the vehicle.
There's some guys, and they come every year, if they do. Usually there's guys more in Rocky Lane area. They come, they set up camp for a week, and then they just DIY it because they know people in Rocky Lane.
I would imagine it wouldn't be that easy to come up here. Like, I'm looking at it going, dude, I think this would be a tough place to just come up and freelance.
Yeah, well, we know this is community. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, I'm like, my dad knows everyone, so
Right.
you just call the guy, and he's like, who are you? And you just tell him who you are, and he's like, oh, yeah, you can hunt here. And it's tougher when you don't know anyone. And
I wouldn't even know where to start other than, like, driving up to people's houses and knocking on doors.
And we do that a lot.
Right. Do you have a resource like OnX? Like, I use OnX constantly to get permission. You have iHunter?
Yeah.
So I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay, well, it's just a land map, and you buy your area, and then you have the names of every field.
Okay, interesting.
On every field
so it's like
is
a plat.
the field owner.
It's like a plat map.
Yeah.
See, and OnX has that, and OnX just literally just added Canada.
okay.
So we were driving up here looking at OnX, driving along looking at, well, that person owns that field. We're driving through the Prairie Pothole region south of Edmonton, and there's tens of thousands of ducks. Like, everywhere you look, there are ducks. And I'm like, man, that'd be cool. And Brandon's like, well, let's see who owns it. Obviously we're not going to stop and hunt, but we had access to that information. Mm-hmm. So you could do it, but all it does is I guess what I'm getting at is you can come up here and you could freelance, but you've got lodging.
Yeah.
You got I'm thinking about all the costs. You got lodging, you got food, you got transport, gas while you're here, which you guys took care of for us while we were here. Food was provided for us. Lodging was provided for us. Bird services were provided for us. Gas, fuel was provided for us. You did all the scouting because we were chasing bears around.
Yeah.
And I look at the cost of this hunt, which is, right now it's about $7,000 to do the black bear hunt and the waterfowl hunt. And I'm thinking, obviously if you came up here and freelanced, you most likely wouldn't be doing bears. But to freelance this, you've got thousands of dollars to come and do this hunt.
Yeah.
And you don't know anybody. You don't know where to start. I mean, Onyx is a phenomenal tool,
Yeah.
and it would be useful and would help. In fact, there's guys down in that Prairie Pothole region from my neck of the woods right now that I personally know, and they were telling me, we were texting back and forth, they're like, dude, Onyx added Canada, and it's so much easier now.
We should look into that.
Yeah, you should look into it. You should.
iHunter is pretty good, but
Onyx is phenomenal because there's so many. I was kind of looking at your apps the other day, and Onyx has wind. We did with Brandon's bear, we had to leave it overnight, and we could follow our track to the footfall, so we didn't have to worry about not being able to blood trail.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because he turned on the tracking feature, and we could see exactly where we'd been.
Yeah.
And my bear ran off and expired, and we went in, made sure it was dead, and then we went back out to go help Brandon look for his bear, and it's just this wild Canadian bush.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we just left a bear out in that bush. How in the world are we going to find that thing again? But we had turned on the Onyx tracking feature, and I could walk a straight line right back to that bear.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal tool. So there's all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I would recommend that you check that out because it is an incredible app, especially now that they've added all the provinces. Because we use it all the time. It's a game changer, not just for finding information. It's got cropland layers. Like, I'm like, I wonder what say I'm getting ready to go hunt, and I can look up what crops were where from the year before.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's especially handy for like spring snow geese,
Yeah.
because I can look at it and go, oh, that's, whatever was in there, and it can show me, and I'm like, that's a feed. I guarantee you that's going to be a feed.
Oh.
I can look at that, look it up. There's a lot of features like that, but I guess getting back to that, do you guys offer just waterfowl hunts? Just straight waterfowl hunts? You do?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have to come up and hunt bears too?
No, there's straight waterfowl too.
Yeah.
What do those run? What do those cost?
That would be a question for Kyler. I'm not actually sure about
Okay.
that.
Well,
for sure.
what we do with the locals that buy hunts, it's $1,000 per hunt.
Okay.
But it'd just be a question of lodging and food and everything and gas and everything.
Right.
And he'd figure something out. I'm sure he'd have some kind of package deal for guys that are coming down for that. So.
Right. Yeah, because I know that, maybe not everybody is interested in shooting a black bear in conjunction. Honestly, I'm like, I don't know what else we would have done in the afternoons.
Yeah.
If
Probably
we're-
went and shot ducks in the slough.
Well, that would be an option, because you guys are like, oh, we don't have a lot of ducks, and we're driving around. I'm looking at these sloughs, and there's ducks all over them. I'm like, these guys are on crack. There's ducks everywhere. Let's go, But we were hunting bears, but that would be cool.
Yeah.
So you could go out and hunt geese in the morning, probably shoot a few ducks, like we did, and then go concentrate specifically on ducks and finish up your duck limit in the afternoon.
Well, even in the evening, those sloughs are getting piled full of geese. So if you didn't shoot your limit in the morning, you'd fill it up in the evening.
Yeah.
More than
Wow.
likely.
Yeah, I look at that and I think I don't have to worry, because you guys, what all do you provide in a hunt?
We provide the blinds, the decoys, and we set them up. All you need to bring is shotgun and ammo, unless you're
We
coming
do.
from down south. We can do that as well.
Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
Well, no, not the shotgun. I'm sorry.
Well, if people need shotguns, we have shotguns. Yeah.
Yeah,
If people don't want to bring their guns down.
and it wasn't a big deal at
No.
the border. It was not a big deal. We got the forms ahead of time, and we had them filled out. We had to stop and fill out another form at the U.S. border before we went in. Basically, piece of paper that shows what you have with you, that you're going to cross the border with it and be bringing it back. So it's not like you went up there and came here and bought a gun and then you're bringing it home, which I don't think you could do anyway. But it was simple. It was not hard, because I know that's a big question right now. I know a lot of guys are like, oh yeah, but how about crossing the border? Because COVID was a nightmare
Yeah.
for everybody. And it was cake. I mean cake. Literally, we pulled up, and the we got our paperwork done on the U.S. side so we can get back in with our firearms. Took 5 minutes. It was easy. Drove across the border, pulled up, and the guy, the customs officer, Canadian customs officer, said, you know, what's your purpose of your visit? I said, we're going hunting in Crete. Oh. You have firearms? Yes. Any handguns? No. You know, we went down through the list of requirements to get in. He's like, okay, cool. Pull ahead, come down in. We'll get you all squared away with your paperwork and get you on your way. It would have taken probably 5 minutes, but we kind of sat and talked about hunting for a little bit with the guy.
Yeah.
And it was easy. I mean, easy. And we picked a real remote border crossing, having the luxury to come up out of Wyoming and through Montana. We picked one it's only open 8 to 5, and there's nothing there. It's literally just the 2 checkpoints.
Oh, yeah.
It's just out in the middle of the prairie. So that was cake. So Brandon and I we crossed the border and we were kind of like, looked at each other like, that was easy. Cool. But if you didn't want to worry about traveling with a gun, say you want to fly up here and you don't want to fly with a gun, you guys would have a shotgun.
Oh yeah, we did that with the 3 guys that came down here. What was it, 2 years ago? They did the bear hunt and the goose hunts as well, and Kyler supplied the shotguns for them.
Okay.
Shotguns and ammo, yeah.
Yeah, and we get your license.
Yes, you took care of the licensing
Yeah.
while we were here.
Yeah.
And everything was so easy that it was kind of like, man, are we really squared away? We're really good. We're good. Like, we're legal. Like, yeah, you got this. Yeah, you're good. It was easy, and that in and of itself, not having to travel with ammo, because I don't have to worry about that. And I think you can bring, I think they told us at the border you can bring something like, it was a ridiculous number. I don't want to quote it because I may not remember it exactly, but it was a lot of ammunition, way more than I had imagined.
Would it have been enough?
Probably not. Oh, if I'd have been here for another week, yeah, we probably would have had to go get more someplace. but we didn't have to worry about that because you guys had that handled.
Yeah.
You had it squared away. You got all the ammo that we needed, and we never ran out. I had to make a couple runs to the truck yesterday, but
You know it's a good hunt when you have to go get ammo.
It was an awesome hunt. But I guess the point that I'm driving at is, if you're sitting here listening to this and you want to come to the Peace River, Alberta, and hunt geese, which it should be a bucket list item for everybody that hasn't done it, that's a waterfowler, you should come up here and do this because it's incredible. I would highly recommend going with you guys because it's just easy. There's not all this, there's not a bunch of running around involved. I don't have to worry about getting a hotel. I don't have to worry, it's taken care of.
Yeah.
It's done. And the bird cleaning, if we were taking birds back home, you guys would have had the birds all squared away for us too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That's something that I know there's a lot of freelancers that listen to this podcast. I know there's a lot of DIY guys that listen to it and they're kind of like, oh, that's not my, they might be, oh, that's not my thing. And my response to you would be, you should try it at least once. Because I felt like we could have slept in and be like, yeah, we'll come out when the decoys are set up. Have a sandwich for me. But that's not who I am.
If you'd have done that, I'd put more pepper on it.
You guys, oh man, you're gonna get people out there that like cayenne pepper, and you're gonna be like, this guy's insane. He doesn't help set decoys, and he eats cayenne pepper by the pound. But it's an option.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You could be like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, we got it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's your job.
Yeah. And I asked Kyler the morning before the first hunt, I said, are these guys interested in helping set up? Because some guys want to, like, it's part of the experience.
Right.
For the most part, people want to do it. But if you want to sleep in later and show up just to shoot, you can do that too.
Well, I think for me personally, I like to learn stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like you can learn anything if you're sleeping or laying in bed and just letting everybody else do the work for you.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, if that's your thing, it's what you want to do, it's an option.
Yeah.
I wanted to help. I wanted to, get to know you guys, and you're packing decoys around, and you're talking, and you're telling stories and BSing and comparing notes. Well, what do you think? I think we should set a big C. And that first morning, that C spread worked perfect. And we played around with some other spreads throughout the week, and compare notes, and let's try that. If it doesn't work, we can move them.
Yeah, and we're still learning every day. I think that's what waterfowl is. You never stop learning.
Exactly. Because we had that conversation. That's a really good point, Curt. Because we had that conversation, like, every day's different.
Yeah.
You get out the one day, and you'll smoke them. And the next 3 in a row, it'll be slow.
Yeah.
And then you'll smoke them again. And you're like, okay, what changed? What changed? Yeah. What do you guys see day to day making the biggest difference in your successful versus non-successful hunts?
Weather. I think weather.
So weather's big, and scouting is huge.
Scouting, yeah.
Being, knowing where the birds want to be. Like, I remember when I was just hunting for myself, I knew there's geese in a field, so I didn't worry about it. I didn't worry about scouting. I was like, oh, there's geese. We'll just set up somewhere, and, we have decoys. They're going to come in. But they wouldn't even look at us. They just went right to where they've been, and they just go right past us. And if you can scout the evening before and know exactly, you can make that X where they've been, and you can be there in the morning.
That's another place where I use OnX all the time, because I can either drop a pin where I think they are, and I can zoom that map right in and go, okay, I'm here. Those geese are right there, and I can drop a pin right there. So I'm not wandering around guessing in the dark.
It's deceiving. Like,
it is.
The evening before, you're like, oh yeah, I'll find that spot. In the morning, you get out there, it's dark.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I think they're right about here, and it gets light. Sunrise comes up, and you're like, whoa, we're way too close to the highway, or we're way too close to the tree line, or something like that shows up, and it's just, why take the chance?
Yeah, exactly. And that, like I said, that's where the OnX thing, you guys will use that a lot. Even if the birds are out there, and you can drive out after they leave and find the exact X, boom, drop a pin, you can go right back to that thing the next day. And then you're
saving a lot of time.
You are. Yeah. I watched you guys. I watched you the first morning, and you're out the window with a flashlight looking. And Brandon's like, man, what are they doing? I said, oh, they're looking for goose poop. He's like, oh, okay. And we were pretty much on the X that morning. It was dialed, but I think it was the next morning when we hunted that farmer's place with his son.
No, that was Wednesday.
Wednesday. So
the third morning.
Third morning. We struggled to be on the X that morning.
Because the road we came on was kind of diagonal. And when we went on the field, I was thinking I was following the road. And really we were going that way, so we were way further away from the road than I thought we were, and really the geese were hugged up against the road, which is where I thought we were setting up, and it was actually further back. So, and
it worked.
Yeah,
we killed a bunch of birds that morning, but we had to convince them.
Yeah,
they didn't. There were a couple groups that just gave it up. They were just like right into the decoys. But man, there were others that worked and didn't really want to do it, and we had to really coax them. And you were working that flag like you were. I don't know.
I don't know if I was doing it more to get the geese in, or if I was doing it to piss off Rod. Rod hates it.
Why do you hate the flag?
I don't hate the flag.
He hates it when I use it. I overuse it.
No. He's just like, there's geese 10 miles away. They're migrating, and he's just going wild with this thing. 5 minutes later, geese come in from the other side, and he's like, Rod, those are the geese that I flagged in. I'm like, no, those aren't the geese that you flagged.
This has been what we've done every single morning. these two having the little brotherly bickering. Rod's like, Curt, shut up. You're too loud. I walked out to get a cripple yesterday. That one far goose that I walked out, and I like disappeared in the fog. I was gone, right? I could hear every word coming out of your mouth. And I was almost to the highway. And I'm going, yep, now I see what Rod's talking about. Those geese know he's there 300 yards before they get to him. No, but I could hear you guys laughing. I could hear you guys talking. Oh, ducks. It was so funny. I was dying. But back to that whole X thing. So you guys are scouting feeds.
Yeah.
What does that work? How do you do it? What do you look for?
Well, in the beginning of the season, even before the season starts, I'm just looking for fields that are either peas or oats or barley, something that I know the geese are going to be on. Mm-hmm. And then I'm looking for fields like that are close to water areas like sloughs or the river. The river line's always a pretty good area. So we kind of know the areas around here that'll have geese, and even before the season starts, we go out, we get a bunch of these fields, and then by the time September 1st comes around, there's a bunch of geese on the fields we already have, and there's local guys that are calling to ask if they can hunt these fields. So we kind of try to get ahead of the game there and get a few of those fields before the season starts. Right,
and so and the reason I asked you that question is not everybody that listens to the podcast is a seasoned waterfowl veteran. There's a lot of guys that are learning. They're listening to the podcast because they want to learn more about it. And so the point there is, you're talking about peas, you're talking about, do they ever feed in a canola field?
Seldom.
I saw a group
sometimes.
of specklebellies feed a canola field last night. I don't know what's with those birds, but they're crazy.
But normally they don't feed in a canola
Normally
field.
they don't, no. Any cereal crop, they'll feed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So peas, oats,
barley,
wheat. Yeah, that makes
their,
sense.
Their number one is peas. As a general rule, they like the peas the best, but it kind of depends.
Yeah, and for beginners, find water. Birds need water for the night.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a field close to water, more than likely there's going to be birds.
Yeah, and so in different parts of the country, you're looking at different crops.
Yeah, exactly.
But cereal grain crops are a big one. Whether it's corn, whether it's rice, whether it's millet, whether it's, like you said, wheat, barley, oats.
Yeah.
It's going to be something like that everywhere. The biggest thing is that I've found is that scouting, though. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. When my brother and I were your age, cutting our teeth and just getting after it hardcore, we spent more windshield time and burned up more money on gas.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. And we had an area, and this won't mean anything to you guys, but we had an area, it was a 3-county area, and for where we lived, that was a ton. That we hunted a 3-county area, and we had farms we could hunt all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
And just the scouting involved with that every single day, it got to be exhausting. You ever get worn out by it?
Oh, yeah.
Last year was my first year with Rod. Rod had been doing it for 3 years. Last year I joined him. And by the end of the season, I had a moose hunt in between. My last hunt was October 23rd. We shot a limit of ducks and some snow geese. But after that, I was like, okay, I'm good for a bit now.
And then a week later, we're like, where's the geese?
Yeah.
You said something at dinner the other night.
Kyler was talking about going to Zimbabwe.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Kyler's talking to Brandon, and he said he's going to Zimbabwe in 23 or something. And he says, Brandon, if I have an opening, you want to go? And Brandon's, and he looks at me, and I just ask, are there geese in Zimbabwe?
That is how ate up with geese you guys are, especially you. I mean, you both love it, but when you guys play off of each other, it's like yin and yang. It's unbelievable. Curt is just this goofball If you had, you get the blonde hair. If you had a tail, you'd be a yellow lab. Just happy all the time. Just tail wagging. Where's the birds? Where's the birds? Where's the birds? And you balance him out so well because you're the one going, Curt, quit flagging. Put the flag down, Curt. Because you're just like calm and dry. And so it is hilarious. If we sat next to you, the banter that comes out of your panel between the two of you yesterday morning, we had one I don't know, 15-minute block where there was no birds flying, 15 minutes. And we were just kind of like, oh, catch your breath, drink some coffee. And we're listening to you guys just go back and forth doing the brother thing, and Brandon and I are just dying, absolutely dying. But it's cool because you guys obviously get along.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fun to hunt with you because there's just, like I said, there's that banter, the yin and the yang, and at the end of the day, not only have we had a good time, but we've killed a pile of ducks and geese because you guys know what you're freaking doing. And it's not everybody in the industry does. Not everybody that you're going to go with as a guide necessarily has the local knowledge, has the connections, has the ability to call, can shoot. Splatipus. You hit those 2 ducks yesterday, and you shot them so fast. They were on your side.
Yeah.
So it was like...
Well, they were in the sun. You guys didn't even see them.
Couldn't even see
I was like,
them.
there's ducks up front. And
You called the shot, and I couldn't see the birds.
I said, kill them. And it was boom, boom. And they were both dead behind the blind. And I shot them in front of the blind.
Yep. Because you could tell it happened so fast. I'm like scrambling looking for these birds when you called the shot, and you waited. You gave us a chance to shoot them. And you're like, well, they're not going to shoot. So, and that's one of the things I appreciate too, is you guys aren't just trigger pullers. You're not just out there shooting. Your clients come first.
Yeah.
And you are making sure that we had shots of birds and that we were getting our birds and we were getting shooting. But you weren't just bystanders either. Because I've seen both. Mm-hmm. I've seen guides that they're just out there to hunt.
Out of control, kind of just.
Yeah. They're calling shots and they're shooting birds out from under the clients, and it's like, really?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm not paying you to hunt, I'm paying you to guide.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other guys that don't even take a gun. That don't shoot at all. And I liked the happy medium that you guys brought because I felt like, especially by now, like this last 2 days, it's like hunting with buddies. It was like I knew what you were going to do. I knew what you were going to do. We had spent enough time together where we could read each other pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you don't even have to call a shot. There's a bird coming on my side, and I'm going to stand up and shoot this thing.
Yeah.
Boom. And I don't know. That's a rare thing. What you guys have is a really rare thing in the world of guiding. One, you're not burned out on it. You are so passionate about what you do, and it's infectious. It gets me excited. You would call. We'd get done bear hunting, and one of you would leave a message with Brandon, and Brandon would go, well, we got to meet him at the co-op at 4:30 because it's midnight. And we'd sleep for a couple hours, get up, go kill birds, come back, eat breakfast, go take a nap, and then go bear hunt again in the evening. And so it has been a grind. Mm-hmm. And it's been, I'd love to stay for another week and just keep going, but duty calls at home. I got to get back. But this experience for me has been something that I would like to do many more times in the future. I already texted my dad and I was like, we got to do this. We got to come up here and do this. It's going to be a ball.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to book this hunt, what do they do?
Basically, contact Kyler Kyler Knelsen. He's the owner of Wingmaster Outfitting and Adventure Northwest. So you basically get a hold of him, and he'll talk to us about booking stuff in, and we make a schedule and book guys in.
That's how it kind of worked out for us. And then you called.
Mm-hmm.
We were on our way up here.
Yeah,
we
I
were
just
south
got
of
your
Edmonton.
Brandon's number from Kyler, and I called, and I
And
showed up here Sunday night, I guess. And
Yeah, you came
Ruined
in
your
and met
supper.
us Sunday night. You didn't ruin supper. That's another thing that you don't always get. And the fact that you called 24 hours before to see where we were, what time we were going to be here, and just take care of things. Not everybody does that. It's like, meet here tomorrow morning, and we'll go kill birds. And you get there, and you don't know anybody, and you're kind of like, But it was, I could tell from that phone call, I was like, this is going to be a good experience. This is going to be awesome. And it was. It was absolutely dialed in hunting. But what else do you guys have on the books for the rest of the year?
well, we're pretty booked up till end of October.
Okay.
Or no, sorry,
End
end
of
of September. And yeah, we'll just keep slamming them.
Are you going to hunt moose?
I didn't get a tag this year,
No.
but I've got next Saturday. I want to head out to Manning. It's 2 hours north.
Okay.
No, sorry, south of here, and I got a rifle mule deer tag.
Ooh,
That's a 4-year draw.
that'll be a ball.
Yeah. So me and my wife are gonna head down there and try to get a mule deer
Good luck, man. That's awesome.
and rods. I guess the big whitetail guy.
I try.
You shoot some big ones?
No, not yet. I'm still at the stage where every year I'm shooting a little guy and learning stuff. So
climbing that
Yeah,
ladder.
climbing the ladder. Yeah.
Well, you live in an amazing place where the next world record could walk out in front of you at any moment. So, pretty cool stuff. But guys, that's we're sitting at over an hour on this thing, which
Oh,
we could. I mean, I wish I'd have just had I did. I had a live mic the entire time we were out filming, and so we've got more. You guys this episode's going to release. When we release this episode, you're going to see everything I was talking about the camaraderie of these two, this brotherhood, this waterfowl brotherhood, the Goose Brothers. I like it.
yeah.
The Goose
The
Brothers.
curtain rod.
The curtain rod, that's right. But you guys are going to see it because you've got to experience this to truly appreciate it. And I can't thank you guys enough. I thank you for being on the podcast. And I thank you for this time up here. And I have one last question, and I'll start with you. And I try to end every podcast with this. If you could only hunt one bird one way for the rest of your life, what's it going to be?
Canada goose on a pea field.
Canada geese on a pea field. He knows where his bread is buttered. Curt?
I'd say a speck belly over water.
Over water.
Or no, sorry, on the edge of a water.
Okay.
I've got a weakness for speckle bellies, and it eats me up. They're so skittish, but every time you learn something, and someday we'll just.
It's awesome. You would like, and I can see that when you said that, because you would get excited when Canada's would start decoying. Oh, yeah, Canada's. And you'd get all jacked up when specs were in
Bars.
the
I like
air.
bars.
And we shot some barred up
Oh, yeah.
birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, just gorgeous birds.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you, fellas, for coming on. This was awesome. Thanks for taking the time to sit down doing the podcast. And if you guys are looking to come to Peace River, there's really only, in my mind, one place to hunt geese in Canada, and it's Peace River, Alberta, in La Crete. And if you want to do that, you got to get a hold of these guys. And again, it's Wingmaster Outfitting, Kyler Knelsen, and you can look it up. You got a brand new website.
Yeah.
And you guys are firing up the social media engine. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
So you'll be firing up an Instagram account. Make
Yeah.
sure you check that out and give these guys a follow. You're going to love what you do. One of the things that I did not anticipate is your skill with the camera.
Well, this is my first year. I've never actually used a
Well,
camera before.
He's a creative guy, and naturally, Once he's got a camera on hand, he knows where to be to take good pictures.
Yeah, the
he's got an
pictures,
eye for
the
it.
pictures that you had were phenomenal, and I think that's something too that you bring to the table. You guys offer as on top of this.
Yeah.
Guys are going to come up here. They're going to do this hunt, and they're going to walk with a bunch of awesome photos too.
Yeah, usually it's Curtis or me. We're taking breaks with the gun, and we're just taking pictures and videoing.
You guys were always videoing and running around doing stuff. That's extra that not everybody does, and it's huge. So good on you. This has been an absolute ball, and we're well over an hour. So I'm going to cut you guys loose. You go take a nap and get another field for tomorrow morning.
You bet.
Sounds good.
Well, we don't hunt on Sundays, but.
Ah, that's right. Tomorrow's Sunday. Well, we're going home tomorrow anyway, but you can line out a field maybe for Monday after church or something.
You bet.
So, cool. Thanks,
and
fellas.
thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Appreciate I will be back. I will be back. I don't know when, but this is, like I said, I told Brandon, I said, if I could afford it, I would be here every fall. I would start my hunting season here every fall, doing this hunt, geese and bears. Yeah. It's been phenomenal. Thanks, fellas.
You bet. Thank you.